I've showed you how to strategize for choosing the topics. We talked about the ideal, to just be able to choose a topic and set of works that you know very well. If that's not the case, you have a strategy now for how to pick a topic. Once you've chosen your topic and you know what works you're going to write about, there's a very straightforward way to write the essay. You're going to organize your essay by introduction, body, and conclusion. I recommend sticking to a 5-paragraph essay. I think that's best, so that you have a paragraph for introduction, 3 paragraphs for your body, and a final paragraph for your conclusion. It would look like this. First paragraph is your introduction. Paragraph 2, 3, and 4 are your body paragraphs. And paragraph 5 is your conclusion. In your introductory paragraph, you make sure that you have a thesis. What is your thesis? A thesis statement is essentially the point of your paper. But I want to be clear that a thesis is subject plus treatment. Subject is what are you talking about? That's the topic. And the treatment is what are you saying about it? And that's going to be how you're applying the works to it. So your subject is the topic you've chosen. And the treatment is the works, how the topic applies to the literature that you've chosen. Even though one of my suggestions was to choose the readings that you're most comfortable with, you must lead the essay by topic because that is the prompt, and you always want to answer the prompt. Any essay that does not answer the topic will be wrong. So make sure that you're leading with the topic that you've chosen. That being said, your treatment will be the works that you've chosen. In paragraph 2, you're going to talk about work number 1. In paragraph 3, you will talk about work number 2. In paragraph 4, you will talk about work number 3. In each paragraph, you will lead with the literature, title and author, and you will talk about how the topic relates to the piece. In the second, how the topic relates to work number 2. And similarly for the end. It's very important that you make it clear in each of these body paragraphs that you are doing what you're supposed to and allowing the topic to lead your essay, which is what the proctor or the grader of your essay is going to want to see. Remember, you have to answer the topic, so don't try to avoid it by writing about something else. Even if you write an amazing essay, if it's not about what you were instructed to do, it will not succeed. In your conclusion, you are going to restate your thesis. I want to make a big suggestion to you as a writer. When a professor is grading an essay, it's one of a million that he or she has seen. And to really show off what you know in an essay, the introduction and the conclusion are bookends. They're not the meat of your essay. So these 2 paragraphs should not be a big part of your paper. There's no room in an introduction and conclusion to explain anything. The body is the meat of your paper. This is the biggest part of your essay. This requires the most space and the most time to plan. Your introduction is just explaining what your essay is about. I recommend to avoid flowery language, avoid words that you don't know how to apply. You don't have to seem super smart. In fact, the best essays will be written clearly, efficiently, which means using the least amount of words to make your point, and effectively, which means just getting right to the point. Academic writing is not about being a beautiful writer. It's about being clear. It's about making connections and showing the connections and explaining the connections. So that's what you want to focus on. And that's what the body of the essay is for. Because here you're going to apply things and show those connections in the body paragraphs. And that's what the grader is going to look for. He or she understands that this just states what the essay should be and that each of these body paragraphs should be directly correlated to that, and the conclusion signifies that your argument has been made effectively and the essay is finished. Once you've written your outline and you've written your essay, I want you to just take a couple of things into consideration. You should double check for spelling errors, grammar errors. You should not use the informal pronouns of you or me or I or us or our. I want you to stay in the third person. This is something that I super believe in for student writers. If you can write confidently from the third person, it sounds so much more authoritative. We already know that you would never use you in a formal essay because we're not having coffee. You're writing an academic essay, so you will never speak in the second or write in the second person. Students somehow feel, though, that if they preface their statements with "in my opinion" or "I believe" or "I have seen that," that it exudes a sense of confidence because they're placing a personal stake in the sentences. Well, in fact, I find that it actually weakens the sentences. A confident writer relies on facts, not opinion. If you can prove your argument, you don't have to prove what you think about it. You've proven the argument. So stay in third person to show your authority on the subject. This will guide you, and your essay will sound like an essay in a book instead of a personal narrative essay that a high school student would write. So stay in the third person. Try to make sure that your paper is clean of any errors. You will not have a dictionary. So use words you know how to spell. Avoid using any informal pronouns. Stick to third person, and remember to plan your essay. You need to make an outline. You can't just jump into writing because everything will seem everywhere for the reader, even if it makes sense to you. The other piece of advice I have is the most important. You have to study the lectures. You have to review the lectures so that when you are presented with these topics, you feel confident in either way. Ideally, you want to feel confident in both the topic and the literature, but if you only feel confident in one, that will be a boon to you in this essay because at least you can begin somewhere. And that's how you will write the second essay.